Yeah,
Shall we plug our 150th show?
Yeah, because we didn't do it on the show. We just recorded either.
Doesn't matter. Anything can cut together anyhow, Ryan.
Yeah.
So
all right,
just roll with it, baby.
Roll.
It's the magic of editing.
Let me roll it to you.
This is the AT Banter Podcast, a balanced and entertaining look at assistive technology, accessibility, and its importance in people's lives. Join Rob Minot, Ryan Fleury, and Steve Barclay as they banter with people around the world about anything and everything regarding assistive technology and the disability community. Now, on with the show.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of AT Banter.
Banter.
You guys like that dramatic pause that I gave you there?
Sure.
Yeah, you don't care.
Yeah, why not? Gives me time to pick up the drumstick.
Well, that worked too. My name is Rob Minot, and joining me today, Mr. Ryan Fleury.
Ryan Fleury.
And Mr. Steve Barkley.
They call me Steve.
I kind of like that. I like the game show announcement.
Yeah. The new take.
Yeah.
Why
Listen,
not?
well, we got to do something different. We're almost to 150.
Almost.
Almost.
We're creeping up there slowly but surely.
We'll
hey,
get there.
let's open the show talking a little bit about that, shall we? Are you excited about our 150th show coming up?
Absolutely.
But yeah, so our 150th, it's going to be a little bit of a free-form show. We're going to open a Zoom room, see if anyone wants to talk.
There'll be tequila.
There'll be tequila. We'll probably generally make idiots of ourselves. So that'll be something to tune in for. So there'll be a lot of cowbell, I'm sure. Because I'm sure once Steve has some tequila shots in him, that cowbell is it's going to be,
Yeah, we'll give him a guitar, and he's got the cowbell, and we can put Rob on the ukulele, and
yeah, it'll be crazy.
We have
It'll
a
be
musical
off
show.
the hook, as the kids say.
they still saying that?
Do they still say that?
I don't know.
Or is that our
Probably
generation
not.
saying that?
Was that our generation? Shit.
Isn't something supposed to be like fleek now or
No,
something?
wait.
Or?
It'll be, it's going to be fleek.
Yeah.
If it's not, we'll just make that. We'll just make that start a thing. It's going to be so fleek, man. I don't know if they say man anymore either.
Yeah, probably not. We are so unhip, it's amazing our bums don't fall off.
All right.
Okay, so that's our 150th show. That is going to be coming up on May 2nd at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we will have, of course, all the details on all our given social media and websites. So yeah, hope to see you there. And that was our first plug. So what else do we got going on today, Ryan?
Today we are talking with Noah Callan, who is the president of the Disability Tech website.
Cool. Yeah. So it should be interesting to hear what exactly he does over there at Disability Tech. But first, let's do some news. So first up, we have a story that Steve has sent in about intuitive limbs, the new era in prosthetic technology.
Yeah, so this is really gnarly. So what they're doing is they're using computing power and artificial intelligence to essentially figure out what people want to do with their limb. So you've got an artificial limb, and when you go to pick up a glass of water, for example, there's certain things that impulses that you're sending from your brain down your arm to your hand to do this action. The AI is able to record and interpret what happens with those signals, and it learns over time what it is that you're trying to achieve. So the longer it learns, the more accurate its interpretation of what you're trying to do with that limb is.
Interesting. So I'm trying to, because we've heard of prosthetic limbs sort of tying into using stuff like the emotive headsets and stuff like that to interpret different neural signals to send a signal on to control the limb. But I've never heard of this concept of actually using AI to actually train the limb to interpret what you want to do with the prosthetic limb. So this is actually pretty interesting. Actually, that's a route that I hadn't even considered, but it actually might be a lot easier and a lot less invasive than doing it the other way.
Yeah, the demonstration that I saw, the user was wearing kind of a cuff around their upper arm, and they were missing their lower arm.
Sure.
So that cuff that they had on, I guess, was the part that was intercepting the signals.
Okay.
And then their mechanical hand below that was, doing all the work.
Right.
But yeah, this is I can't remember the name of the company now.
I think it's Coapt.
Coapt?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is basically all they're focused on. They're focused on how to use artificial intelligence to make
that could be
prosthetic limbs work better. That
could be a really powerful combination.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interpreting the signals, the electrical signals from the muscle of, say, the stub, as well as then using that AI component to interpret those in a way to make the prosthetic limb respond. Wow, that could really propel that type of AT forward. In a drastic way.
Yeah, really kick it up a notch, make those limbs a lot more adaptable and a lot more realistic, I guess would be the word.
Well, yeah, because the AI component, you can train AI a lot faster than you can train somebody to be able to use that prosthetic limb. Because in the past of all the stuff that we've looked at before, there's a whole training regiment that you have to go through in order to send the right signal to the arm in order to say do something like pick up a coffee mug.
Yeah.
But if you have the AI doing all that heavy lifting in terms of interpreting what you want the limb to do, yeah, that's really exciting. See, AI, man, it seems to be ubiquitous these days. I mean, they're just plugging it into everything to see how much they can.
And I for one, welcome our robotic overlords.
I'm sure that it's not going to have, as long as they don't plug AI into things like lawnmowers or anything with a blade. Chainsaws. Don't do that, everybody. Don't plug AI into stuff that's common sense.
There actually is now a Roomba type lawnmower.
Yep, there's a couple of them.
Yeah. What? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, don't. Stop. Stop. All the scientists that are developing this stuff, it should be mandatory viewing. They have to watch like Maximum Overdrive, and then they have to watch the Terminator series, and then they have to watch.
You have to read Arthur C. Clarke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get those laws of robotics down.
Yeah. This is very important. Don't screw us over. We're already having climate issues. Don't screw us over with the AI.
Was that Clarke or Asimov who did the laws?
Amazon.
It was Asimov. Yeah,
that's right.
It was Asimov.
Yeah, get your geek.
Sorry, I almost
references.
lost my nerd cred there.
That would have fired up the email.
From artificial intelligence to artificial impairment.
Nicely done, sir. That's a good segue.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm assuming that you want to talk about the Toronto cannabis store.
Well, this is one where the headline sums it all up, right?
Go ahead, give it a shot.
Toronto's only operating cannabis retail store not wheelchair accessible on opening day.
Yeah. We just talked to David Leposki.
About
3 weeks ago, and it's so frustrating to read this because, Ontario is supposed to be going through this accessibility rebirth, and we keep hearing these stories about these new buildings that they're dropping the ball accessibility wise. I mean, sure, it's funny that it's a cannabis store, but I mean the main point of this is that this is a new retail outlet, and it's a high profile one that's supposed to be serving the public. not wheelchair accessible. I mean, that's incredible. It's got to be incredibly frustrating.
It is, absolutely. And I think the only way that's ever going to change is when somebody goes to apply for a business permit. If they don't prove they have an accessible place of business, they shouldn't be getting their business permit.
Well, wouldn't it?
That mentality has to change.
That would be an interesting world that we lived in if that was actually
Wouldn't
the
it?
case, and it's not a bad idea. Like
But
I don't see why that. Maybe that could be part of a business license, is the fact that your establishment needs to be, at the very least, wheelchair accessible. But why not extend that into have Braille signage?
Exactly. They have the AODA. Like
they do.
this isn't new.
Yeah, this wasn't a new building though. This is an old building that they've moved into.
But it's a new space.
But
though.
all the same, it's a new business, and
They had to apply for business permit.
There's no reason why a new business should not be expected to be accessible,
Exactly.
particularly when they're doing retail trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do retail trade for anybody who can walk up the stairs.
Well,
unacceptable.
and really, it seems to just be the onus just seems to be on the business. Whether or not they want to bother having their space accessible. I mean, from a business standpoint, it makes sense. God, why would you not have your retail space accessible?
But that's why this isn't changing, because people either still aren't thinking about accessibility or just aren't willing to spend the money.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what it comes down to. Is that they're not willing to spend the money.
And there's no penalties.
It's
like he's not going to get fined for not being accessible.
they're going to look at a cost analysis. They're going to go like, well, okay, how much business are we going to lose if we don't have our space accessible versus how much is it going to cost to make our space accessible? I mean, we saw this. We talked about a news story again, and I think this was in Toronto. I think it was a Toronto restaurant that, got some pushback because they refused a patron who was in a wheelchair, because they had sort of a lip to get into the restaurant, and then once you got into the restaurant was so densely packed with tables and stuff, there was just no room for a wheelchair, and the restaurant owner just told this patron, sorry, we can't serve you. And it got some heat on social media because of it, and it was a bit of a splash. But it was the same thing. What it basically came down to is like, well, look, the restaurant owner has the right to make his space accessible or not. They look at the numbers. They look at the fact that, in order to make my little space accessible, I'm going to have to take out tables, which means I'm going to make less money an hour. The cost benefit just wasn't there for them.
Years ago, I was part owner of a indoor paintball field.
Mm-hmm.
When we set up that indoor paintball field, we had to have a wheelchair ramp.
Yeah.
For people to go in.
Well, that was part of the building code, though.
Are you saying, so that was part of the building code?
Yeah. Now, we never had anybody ever come in a wheelchair to play,
right,
that I ever saw anyway. But we had to have a wheelchair ramp. Mm-hmm. And why is that not standard?
Yeah.
That should be standard.
Mm-hmm. Now, was that just the locality that you were in? It
was Richmond, British Columbia, and it was a warehouse that we'd rented for the purpose. And it's if in Richmond, if you are opening a business that's serving the public, it must be wheelchair accessible.
See, why isn't this national? Why don't they just make that national instead of all these little localities, like different localities will have these building code mandates.
Yeah,
in different provinces with different acts, and
we also had to have a wheelchair accessible
washroom
as well.
Yeah, sure. So, that's why it's so frustrating to read stories like this, again, especially with Ontario, who's supposed to be at the forefront of provincial accessibility law, because, the ADA, right?
Well, it's the only province in Canada, is it not, that actually has a disability act? Right.
No, there are others. I was just reading an article about Nova Scotia, who
they're talking about implementing one, but I don't think they have one yet.
I think Manitoba has one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean there are others in there, and they all have these things about, well, our goal is to make the province fully accessible by whatever 2030, 2040, 2050.
Yeah.
And you can bet at 2029 somebody will start building a wheelchair ramp.
Well, again, this microcosm of, you just look at what's going on in Ontario right now and how they have dropped the ball. They've had the AODA for 14 years, and less than half of their transit stations are accessible. They just haven't. They've just. It seems like it seems to always be the same. Is that they introduce the legislation. There's some real excitement and activity around the beginning, and then it just falls into typical government bureaucracy, and just they spin their wheels for the next.
Yeah. But I think we've bitched about that topic enough.
I don't think we can bitch enough about that topic. Whenever I see an article like this, I'm telling you, I'm going to post it, and we should talk about it, bitch about it, because people need to make some noise about that, because it's unacceptable.
Okay, I got another segue.
Okay.
From buzzkill to roadkill.
Oh.
Hey.
You are the master of the segue today.
Hey, yeah.
Yes. Okay, well, let's talk about this. This comes to us from Australia. A third of blind people have been hit or narrowly missed by electric cars as calls grow to make them louder. Now, this is a problem that I didn't even think about, but it's very true. With the advent of electric cars, they are really, really quiet.
Well, and it's interesting. I didn't look at this story, but I thought I saw something years ago, like even after I lost my sight, that there were some vehicles that actually were emitting an audible sound, so that you actually knew an electric vehicle was sitting beside you.
Yeah, the trouble is that it's not really legislated yet.
Oh, okay.
But that's something that we could see. Like we could see that they just purposefully start making the cars a little bit noisier. Because they say that, according to a study that Vision Australia has done, they say that a third of blind people have either been hit or narrowly missed by an electric car, just for the fact that they go to cross the road because they don't hear anything. Yeah. They hear it's clear, and sure enough, no.
I think they ought to handle it the same way that they handle ringtones for cell phones. I think you should be able to select the sound that you want for your car. Like there will be a default sound for your car, but then you ought to be able to select from other ones as well.
So I think so. I agree.
You can make your car sound like a jet fighter or something, or you can have it go as you're driving along. I think you could have all kinds of fun with that.
Yeah, well, for sure. I would think I want mine to sound like Darth Vader.
There you go.
As I go down the road.
So some blind person on the corner just thinks there's some pervert next to him. Oh boy, start swinging the cane.
Yeah. The other thing that surprised me is I didn't realize there was this many electric cars on the road in Australia, but apparently they're saying that they're estimating that more than 500 million electric vehicles are expected to be sold globally by 2040. Ooh. So that's a big number.
It's a lot of cars. So that's absolutely right. I mean, this is obviously going to be a problem, so that they should really think about addressing it now, as sales continue to grow going forward. But and they're talking about maybe like the car emitting beeps or. But I mean, I don't know. It should just be like you would think that it would be easy enough to change that in the manufacture of them, just to make them. How hard is it to make something more noisy? Basically, all you need is a speaker. Yeah. Yeah. So let's make it harder for dogs too, because they don't hear the cars coming. How are they going to chase it? They're missing out. Good question. Yeah. They're missing out. They're in their backyard. They don't even know the thing's going by, and they're just like, "Oh, damn it! Yeah, missed another one, Frank." So, yeah. But I wonder what about animals? I mean, that's got to be a problem for literal roadkill. Yeah, sure. I mean, they don't even hear the thing coming either. Yeah. They even have a fighting chance to get out of the way. Yeah. Okay, last story. Last story.
Yeah, no, well, we saved the best for last because this is pretty exciting. Scientists on the cusp of curing blindness with pioneering treatment that injects stem cells into the back of patients' eyeballs. So, of course, they are talking about RP, retinitis pigmentosa, of course, and they are, of course, talking stem cell treatment. That it's always a hot topic around here.
Yep.
But yeah, it sounds like there is a biotech company that has had some limited success with a few patients in injecting stem cells into the retina.
Yeah, didn't we talk about this a little bit with the Foundation Fighting Blindness?
We did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a super promising avenue for research. Still a long way to go with a lot of it, but yeah, there's massive potential for sight restoration using stem cell technologies.
Yeah, no, we would say that, of course, and even it says this in the article. It's very early on, but they do point to 3 different patients that has had some pretty substantial results as a result of this. It's being done by a company called Reneuron in Wales. And let me see what the results here. They say that one woman has gone from being legally blind to actually losing that status of being legally blind.
Wow.
Another person, they say, went from being only able to read 9 letters on an eye test chart
The large letters, I think.
to 29. So,
Serious positive effect.
yep. Another
Nice.
one's went from being able to identify 9s to 24. So, and this is a pretty common eye disease too.
Yep.
So this could have a pretty big impact if they can shake the bugs out and actually get this working.
And make it affordable.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Because remember, there was that one treatment for that one specific eye condition we were talking about.
That's right.
But how much was it? It was
It was
like $250,000 or something for one treatment.
I think that's right. I think it was $250,000.
Yeah, but it cured you, but it was $250,000.
Spend the rest of your life seeing and in debt.
Yeah.
But no, so that's exciting. So we will keep an eye on that. The joke never gets old. And of course, we'll link to all those news stories in the show notes. Hey, Steve, why don't you tell the fine folks about Canadian Assistive Technology?
Well, Canadian Assistive Technology is a Canadian-based distributor of, guess what? Assistive technology.
I would not have guessed that.
Really? Oh, I got to work something better into the name then. And we do all kinds of low vision and blindness aids, as well as all kinds of physical access aids and accessible furniture. You name it. Visit our website at www.canastech.com.
Rick, let me ask you about this. Chaos Technical Services.
Chaos Technical Services.
Don't sound so excited about it. Woo! Speaking of repairs.
We are the sister company to Canastech. We do the repairs on low vision devices, reading machines, for libraries, braille printers, and pretty well anything in between. We can be found at www.chaostechnicalservices.com.
Joining us now is Noah Callan from the website Disability Tech.
All right, Noah, thanks so much for joining us today. Why don't we start off, and why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
My name is Noah Callan, and I am the founder of Disability Tech. I love using technology to improve my life and enjoy discovering new aspects in the assistive technology space. I'm also a video editor.
So what kind of impact has technology, or I guess more specifically, assistive technology, had on your life?
It's had a massive impact on me. Without assistive technology, I would probably just be staring at the wall. My quality of life would diminish greatly. Assistive technology has allowed me to go to a mainstream school and graduate. It also allows me to communicate with my family and friends, connect with people on social media, and it has given me a greater level of independence.
So can you give us a quick bit of an overview of some of the assistive technology that you use on a daily basis?
I can turn my joystick mode to a Bluetooth mouse from the display controller so that it knows to act as a normal Bluetooth mouse. When the joystick is connected to the Mac, the mouse moves smoothly. For clicking, I use Assistiveware's keystrokes using their dwell-click function, which, if you place the cursor in a specific spot, automatically clicks for you within your set time. Mine is 0.75 seconds. I use their keyboard too, with word prediction. Recently, I upgraded to macOS Mojave, but unfortunately keystrokes doesn't work anymore on the new system, so I use dwell-click by Pilot Moon for clicking, and the new accessibility keyboard by Apple.
Can you give us a bit of an overview of disability tech and what the site actually offers users?
I wanted to create a hub for resources and discussion about all things Assistiveware, to provide a platform to support people who have questions or issues around assistive technologies in relation to software, hardware, or even a general question about a specific device or app. The user setup component empowers people who are already using technology and using it well to share their knowledge with other members of the disabled community. Perhaps their individualized setup may work for someone else who has similar needs. The user setups also include valuable information about the advantages, disadvantages, and suggested improvements of the technology. This also enables tech companies to learn firsthand from their users what is working and what is not. You can search information via fields of disability, device, platform, software, and hardware. Disability tech offers opportunities for people to upload their current user setup so as their personal experiences and knowledge about assistive technology can be shared with others. This includes pictures. By being able to upload visuals, as well as written information, individuals are given the opportunity to visually see how an individual user is working their setup. There is also a news section, where articles are posted, focusing on innovation and relevant assistive technology topics, and forums, for people to share and discuss matters related to using assistive technology.
So now I know that you're a big Apple user, and I know that you talk on the website about how you wrote a letter to Tim Cook indicating your concerns over some accessibility issues with Apple products in particular. What's your take of the current state of accessibility and Apple? And have you seen your concerns addressed at all?
There is no doubt that my letter had an impact and was a catalyst for Tim Cook paying a visit to the Assistiveware home office in Amsterdam. In the October of 2016, at the Worldwide Developers Conference, I was stoked to see the intro video showcasing a range of disabled people accessing their Apple products. To be honest, the new accessibility keyboard has been a good jump forward in creating a more inclusive platform. Although, their dwell-click function needs to be looked at, as it is joined to the keyboard, not as a separate panel. That is why I use dwell-click by Pilot Moon for clicking.
Now, how do you see accessibility in the last few years? Do you see it getting better from all the other developers, like Microsoft and Google?
I am an Apple fan, but I am fully aware that Microsoft is doing a hell of a lot more in regards to the accessibility field. For example, the Xbox Adaptive Controller is bringing back the disability community to gaming. For people who are listening that don't know much about the Xbox Adaptive Controller, it allows the user to create their own gaming setup, with their own unique switches, joysticks and more, to get the maximum control of the game. I wish this product existed 10 years ago when I was gaming, but instead I had to use the normal controller in order for me to play games. It was almost impossible and very frustrating. Google recently developed an app called Live Transcribe, which turns speech to text in real time. How great is that? This is life-changing to someone who has a hearing impairment, or is deaf. It can be used in over 70 languages and there is no wait time. My opinion is that accessibility is no longer an afterthought, and in the next few years we should see more products having more accessibility features built in.
What emerging assistive technology really excites you? Like, what do you see as the biggest potential or the most progress in recent years?
I am really excited about eye gaze technology and how it will help people with disabilities to communicate with their family and friends. I have recently invested in an eye gaze system after trialing many, and believe eye gaze is going to be life-changing for me. It will speed up my ability to communicate effortlessly and in real time.
Where can people find you and or disability tech online?
Please go to www.disabilitytech.com and share your user setup with our community, as well as join in the conversation on our forums. It's free.
Any other closing thoughts or anything that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about yet?
I would like to mention that Disability Tech does not affiliate itself with any one tech company. We want to promote all assistive technologies, no matter where they are developed and made. At the end of the day, the most important thing is that people who rely heavily on assistive technologies in their daily lives can find technology that is the right fit for their individualized needs, accessing technology that will enable them to have greater independence, more social connectivity and empowerment to achieve their goals and dreams.
Noah, we want to thank you so much for taking some time out and answering some questions, and best of luck with the website, and let's talk again in the future.
Thank you for having me on your podcast and allowing me to speak about disability tech. Take care.
That's a really cool idea for a site, I have to say. Like, being able to compare different setups. I mean, especially all the communication aids, all the physical access, assistive technology. That's real finicky stuff, and it can really vary. Your output can really vary depending on the system that you have.
And everybody, has different physical limitations and different needs, and so it's something that oftentimes, to do a proper setup, you're working with, occupational therapists, speech language pathologists, and then it's all going to fit within the physical environment too. So,
well, and they all have different system requirements as well. I'm assuming, right? Depending on what you do, what kind of software you need to drive, or some of the specifications. You need certain specifications to actually drive particular pieces of software, and all that's going to vary depending on what your needs are. So, excellent website, and it's always interesting to hear what other people think about things like Apple and their accessibility issues that they've had in the past, because certainly that's something that we've been talking about too for a while. So, hey Ryan,
Rob,
where can people find us?
they can find us as usual online at atbanter.com.
They can also drop us an email if they so desire at
Cowbell. Keep going.
at atbanter.com.
It was going to be a duet.
What?
And you dropped the ball.
What do you mean? We're going
I
to
was
do
doing it
harmony?
with you, but
Well,
no,
we
it's fine.
have to rehearse these things, man. You can't just ad lib.
Take two.
You can't
Take
live.
two. Take two.
They can also drop us an email if they so desire at cowbell@atbanter.com.
Ryan, I thought you were going to do it.
I hate you, Ryan.
I know you do. That's a given.
Okay, where else can they find us? Other people in the room?
Well, they can find us on Twitter, they can find us on Facebook, and they can find us on Instagram.
Yes, they can. And any closing thoughts? Ryan, so you're away next week.
I am indeed.
So where are you going?
Kelowna, BC.
And what are you doing there?
A couple things. Helping my wife's uncle de-winterize his trailer.
What's that entail?
Well,
What are
they
you
have
gonna do,
what's called
clean it?
skirt. No, well, that too. Kind of do some spring cleaning, but they put skirting around the trailer to kind of keep the heat underneath the trailer so the pipes aren't freezing in the wintertime.
Okay.
So we'll take all the skirting off and get all his winter stuff out and his spring stuff, or winter stuff put away, spring stuff out.
Uh-huh.
And then
Chase the possums out from the skirting.
yeah, exactly. Run the dog around the dog park, and then try and arrange an appointment for Mr. Barkley to get up there and show some products.
Yeah.
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 Cool. All right. Well, if that is the case, I think that is going to do it for this week, guys.
Well, okay then.
So thanks everybody for listening in once again, and we look forward to hearing. No, we don't.
We'll see you on show 150.
That's right. Holy cow. We look forward to the hordes of people joining us for our show Monday. Is it Monday? No, it's a Thursday. Thursday, May 2nd, 5:30
p.m.
PST.
Pacific Standard Time.
That's right. So keep an eye out on all our social media feeds or our website. We will have the Zoom link posted. All you got to do is clicky on it. I think, does it ask you to install anything, Ryan?
It's probably going to depend on the browser you're using, but typically you can either download and install Zoom or you can launch it right from your browser.
And it'll spit you into the room and
we'll have you muted. Ha, ha, ha.
At
Just
first.
kidding.
But we'll unmute you. We'll unmute you, we promise.
Yes, we will.
All right, everybody, thanks so much for listening in, and we will see everybody next week for 150.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions across Canada. Find us online at www.canasstech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com. Or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. For all your assistive technology servicing needs, call Chaos Technical Services at 778-847-6840 or find them online at chaostechnicalservices.com. Music provided by bensound.com.
Whoa, look at that. Master of the one take.